Sadhguru, here.
Ooh. How did you grab the microphone?
Yeah. I have a question. My previous generation, my fathers are farmers, but they made me an engineer because they couldn't able to survive from their land. So the complete generation of my 5 fathers has converted to engineers or some other works. So entire farming is vanished there. I'm interested to do farming, but because of the survival problem, I came to an engineering. So how I have to overcome this process?
Okay. Anyway, we would like to have a well-studied engineer, not an engineer who's converted. I don't know what that means. How do you get converted to engineering? Anyway, I understand what you're saying. See, this is a major tragedy unfolding in the country. Out of 160 million hectares of arable land in this country, 104 million hectares of land, the soil is right now labeled as distressed. That means nearly 60% of our soil is moving towards becoming uncultivable in a matter of anywhere between 15 to 40 years' time. In 40 years' time, the fertile lands that you have seen will turn into uncultivable land, maximum 40 years' time, anywhere between now to then. How does this happen? If you want the soil to be rich, before we go into that, I want you to first understand, what is sitting here as you and me is just the soil that you walk upon, it's just a piece of the planet. If the soil is weak, the food becomes weak. The food is weak, our very genetics become weak. There's substantial studies about this. So why has the soil become weak? Why such a phenomena is happening in this country? The only way you can put back organic content into the soil is by the leaves of the trees and the animal waste. Trees are gone long time ago, just to tell you to what extent. In the Ganga basin, which accounts for 25% of India's geography and 33% of India's agriculture, we have removed 92% of green cover in the last 50 years. 92%. What is our plan for this land? In Kaveri basin, which is some 83,000 square kilometers, right now we're running a campaign called Kaveri Calling. All of you must be a part of it one way or the other. In Kaveri, in the last 50 years, we have removed 87% of the green cover. So no leaves, no trees, no leaves. Animals are all traveling abroad. How will you enrich the soil? The food that you're eating is just the soil. You ate it up. What did you put back? Nothing. By throwing chemicals, you think it'll happen? Pretentious agriculture is happening. If we don't change this, whatever other aspirations we have, everything will fail. Doesn't matter what business, industry, what you develop, we'll have serious issues. People think water is the issue, water is not the issue, soil is the issue. If soil is rich, there will be enough water. The reason why agriculture is suffering is, this is one aspect. The other reason is, why at the time of independence, over 92% of Indian population was in agriculture. If you look back and see, 250 years ago, we were the largest economy on the planet. We were the biggest exporters, 33% of the world's export came from India 250 years ago. So what were we exporting? Were we exporting rice? No. Were we exporting agricultural produce? No. What were we exporting? We were exporting largely spices, more than that, textiles. Andhra Pradesh, every district has a weave of its own. Yes? Textiles was the main thing. Between 1800 and 1860, when the English decided to destroy the textiles of this nation, systematically they went about destroying it. From 1800 to 1860, our exports came down by 96%. So that doesn't happen just like that. That was done as a systematic process. So when this destruction of industry happened, millions of people died in those 60 years, where one of the British Governor-Generals writes back saying, "The fields of India are bleached with the bones of the weavers." Millions. It is estimated over 3.5 million to 4 million people died in those 60 years out of starvation. The rest desperately went about doing some kind of subsistence agriculture. Subsistence agriculture means I have a piece of land, I will grow little rice, little dal, little this, little that, everything that I need for a family, I will scratch the land and grow. This sort of agriculture happened. This is why 92% or 92% were in agriculture. Today this number has come down to 65%, thanks to you, you became converted engineer. 65 to 70% are still in agriculture. What this means is, for 10 people to eat, we want 10 people to eat, but now 7 of them are cooking. You think this is a good use of people? 10 people want to eat, very efficient, 1 person can cook. Don't want 2 or 3 people can cook. 7 people cooking for 10 people is not a wise way to do things, but that's where we are right now. Still 7 people are cooking for 10 people. So, you and more people must become engineers, it is good, or whatever else they have to become. But at the same time, can you let the agriculture die? Because today, if you make a survey, we have made some surveys, not official surveys, but generally we've just asked around. If you ask around, how many farmers want their children to go back to farming? Less than 2%. This means in another 20-25 years, when this generation passes, we will not know how to grow food. You may think the farmer looks illiterate, he's not dressed like you, he doesn't look like you, he looks like no good. But I'll do one thing for you, you are from the farming family. Those of you for 2 generations who lived in city, you have MBA, even if you have agricultural MSc, you come, I'll give you 10 acres, fertile land. 5 different crops, you grow it by yourself without taking local help. You will see you can't do it. Because this intrinsic knowledge that our farmer has, this is one of the most fantastic things that India has done is, of the many things, well, we are going to the moon, we've gone to Mangalyaan, all kinds of things, businesses have done great things, science has done many things, but the most fantastic thing is, without any science of any modern science, without any new technology, just with traditional knowledge, our farmers have fed 1 billion people. This is not a small thing. So this transition from farming to other things should not happen out of desperation, should happen as a good plan to do. Right now, one reason why farming is not succeeding is, soil is weak, so water is scarce. Another thing is, scale is too small to make it successful. The average land holding is 1 hectare, that means 2.25 acres per family is what we have. At this level of holding, whatever you do is going to be waste. Everybody is under loan, okay? Some 78% of Tamil Nadu's farmers are under debt. Because, I'll just tell you an example. A young farmer in our region, it's very fertile region. He has 3.5 acres. So I meet him and ask him, what are you doing for your water? What's your water source? He says he's put 9 bore wells. In 3.5 acres, he's put 9 bore wells. Because there are borewell companies which will come and promise, if you put it here, more water will come, if you put it there, more water will come.